Hey, Opie Trades! This is the only place online where I can say someone knows something. I think someone knows something about the price of gold, the price of silver, the price of wheat, the price of natural gas, the price of Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about some firearms stocks in this video as well. A little outside that theme. Someone knows what's going to happen to natural gas, and someone knows what's going to happen to interest rates, even. We'll talk about these bond ETFs. So, someone knows something, right? Somebody knows something, and I think I can predict the future. Because the stock market, a lot of people compare it to gambling, but really I'm terrible at gambling. Because in gambling, I can't see your cards. Well, I can bluff or whatever, right? I can do the odds calculations and all that, but I can't see my opponent's cards. I don't know what they have. In the stock market, I can see my opponent's cards. I can see what the MMs are doing, and it's a little different, and it kind of blows people's minds, right? Because all these explanations for why Bitcoin entered this big wave 3 rally, you're not ever going to hear that it was what I was talking about, 0% Ivy rank and percentile in the top 20 or the top 200 options volume for BITO. And also look at all three of these VIX ETFs, all these different types of VIX ETFs. This was something I mentioned in a video 3 months prior to this video, predicting the S&P would begin making its way to 6,000 3 months prior, before I talked about this post. Sorry, not this video. Way back when. Anyway, the VIX, VXX, and UVXY were all over the screen. I was talking about that being a sign of the coming VIX collapse, and of course that has been persisting for 2 years now, almost 2 years, coming up in September. We're going to see 2 years of this VIX collapse, assuming they don't cut it off before then. And BITO, I was using these BITO positions is a reason that I was entering this position. Of course, also Elliott wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. Wave 1, ABC wave 2, wave B, between the 61.8 to 78.6% retracement. And yeah, that wasn't a one-hit wonder. I continued to perfectly call Bitcoin, why I'm positioned for Coinbase and First Solar to begin parabolic moves. A banger just a few months ago. Just before that, just recently, update on NVIDIA, Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy, why I'm buying Misty in NVIDIA and holding NVIDIA and Bitcoin. We saw what happened to NVIDIA after this post. MicroStrategy went up about 35%. But anyway, going up to some of these other BITO projections, I mean, I've got a whole host of them. I have to make a collage of these. There's so many. Luke, my followers have had it thoroughly explained to them why, with great technical and quantitative analysis, why Bitcoin, Coinbase, Solana, and Ethereum have exploded in recent weeks. I've just got all types of examples showing that. And then looking at this from September 14th of 2023, I'll keep holding BITO. If it falls below 12.06, one reason is that I'm still scaling into coin and CONY, but above there, it can end an ABC correction from the 414.23 high and enter wave 3 of wave 3 beyond 19.13. We saw what happened to that, updating Bitcoin again in July 21, saying it was going to 38,000. Next, the 161.8% extension of that wave 1 for the wave 3 target. And then we saw, more and more of these BITO and Bitcoin and Coinbase projections be perfect hits. So I think, we're going to see someone knowing something, again, using these exact same option screens, talking about what they're doing on BITI and BITO, very similar to what they did on UVXY and VXX. Anyway, so I think someone knows something. And I'm going to keep holding Bitcoin, and I'm going to keep holding BITO and YBTC and CONY and MSTY as well. But I want to talk about more commodities in this video because I think I know where gold's going. Right? I think I know where gold's going, just based on me just having a track record of being the greatest technical analyst and really the greatest statistician to ever live. No one's really even attempted to be as uncannily accurate using statistics to make predictions as I am on a regular basis. I mean, all these, right here, this is 3 different stocks, perfect hits on NVIDIA, perfect hits on MicroStrategy, perfect hits on Bitcoin. For a lot of those, that's, the 4th or 5th time for Bitcoin and NVIDIA, perfect for Bitcoin, quoting another perfect post for Bitcoin. And then I just even have to make a collage of them, at this point now, with how many of them are coming just for crypto alone. So we're going to talk about where the greatest technical analyst in the world thinks gold and silver are going. I think people know. So we're going to talk about why. What I've wondered, does it matter, what the reason's going to be? Because looking at these bond ETFs, the institutions take interesting bull bets on bond ETFs, and I think that they do that because they're at investment grade bonds and corporate bonds and government bonds have extremely high yields, and they probably know those aren't going to stay. So the underlying asset value of those bonds are probably going to appreciate based on my analysis. And there's a few reasons that can happen. One is because a disaster strikes, so it's a flight to safety trade. Another is that another reason that happens is because interest rates are cut. So those would be one of 2 explanations. Is the Fed just going to come out and say, hey, we're lowering interest rates? We'll see. I'm not quite sure that's going to happen. For this ABC correction, I think it's subdivided like this. I think gold eventually is going to the meeting of this pitchfork, and that's found by connecting the beginning of wave 1/wave A with the high of wave 1/wave A and the wave 2/wave B low. And then from this low, what could be in progress is that this is a wave 1 and a wave 2, and this is a big wave 3 in progress. The length of wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low helps define the path for how eventually one day gold is going to reach the median of this Andrews pitchfork. So I buy OUNZ, I invest in Pan American Silver, and I'm going to keep buying those, and part of the reason for that is going to be in this video. OUNZ does have a deliverable component, so I technically, for that 0.25 expense ratio, could fill out some form with my broker and have gold delivered to me with OUNZ. So that's why I picked that ETF in particular. So I think gold's leading the charge right now. Agnico Eagle Mines, AEM, really turning around. Fortuna Silver Mines and silver really taking off. And I think gold and silver are both in the middle of bull cycles that are going to continue advancing, probably at a faster rate than we've seen the metals move. I think we're seeing volatility expansion out of a multi-year consolidation period. This kind of period right here for gold and silver, I think that's volatility tightening up for years, and now it's going to expand potentially for years. Looking at gold, GLD, I think it's ending a wave 4 correction. Now I am just going to give a little special treatment to the metals. I'm not super interested in perfectly timing the bottom. And I think that this is a short-term, kind of quick wave 4 correction anyway. This high is 225.66. This low is 168.30. So I'm looking for gold to end a wave 4 above 203. It's at the 23.6% retracement, which is still a little shallow, or it reached the 23.6% retracement from this high, which is still a little bit shallow. But this could be a short wave 4 correction, and then gold is going to keep going higher. The length of this wave 1 rally placed at this wave 4 low can take gold up to the 240s, the 250s for GLD. And so when it does that, I think it's going to end this 1-2 red wave 3, have a wave 4 correction, but then eventually continue to trudge higher up to the median of this Andrews pitchfork. So we'll continually see, in my opinion, whether stocks continue going up, which I think in the long term they head to at least 600 for SPY. That's been the target for a while, so I'm going to stick with that. And it's still playing out pretty well too. But even if, regardless of what stocks do, the value of the dollar appears that it's very clearly, fiat at least, going to be going down. I'm not talking about relative to other currencies. I'm talking about relative to hard assets. Looking at silver, almost the exact same thing, just in a little different point on the chart. I own Pan American Silver and First Majestic Silver slightly below my cost basis right now, or they're slightly below my cost basis right now. Yeah, just slightly. So I'm going to keep holding them. I think they're going to be in the money pretty soon. Looking at silver, I believe SLV is a large wave 1 and an ABC wave 2. This is a smaller wave 1 and a wave 2, and as I predicted, a wave 3 began from this low. As I also predicted, this was a wave 1, a wave 2, and a wave 3 in progress. It did break this high. Now, I'm not going to make too big of a deal out of the fact that while silver was breaking above that high, the meme stocks were going bananas. Fun ape pun. But anyway, we'll see if that correlation comes back. The metals did take a little bit of a break, so we'll see if that meme stock correlation comes back. That would be very entertaining. For this wave 4 correction, could silver have ended a short wave 4 within the cycle? This high is 29.56. This low is 18.97. So I'm looking for silver to end this wave 4 correction. I'm thinking it's going to hold above 25.51. That's usually the perfect ideal place for a wave 4 to end. A wave 4, they don't always make it down to the 38.2% fib. I'm looking for, and really just because the upside risk for silver and gold is where it is, I'm not going to wait for silver and gold to go down to this 38.2% retracement. They're already at the 23.6. And the other aspect of that is both of them, I believe, are within a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So since wave 3 is the fastest wave, a shallow wave 4 within a wave 3 impulse can be pretty quick and short-lived. So again, with silver, I think it's in the middle of a cycle, leading with gold and silver, some commodities, and I'm looking even for some other commodities like wheat, this ETN, to start playing catch-up. So I believe this is an A, B, C correction. this ABC correction ended, where the length of wave A placed at the wave B high is where wave C ended perfectly right there. And then from this low, I believe a wave 1 and a wave 2 has formed, and a wave 3 bull cycle has begun. For the time fibs, I connected the beginning of wave A with the end of wave A. I got a nice bottom for this 5. I'm looking for a nice bottom on this 8-month time fib as well, and for a bull cycle to potentially begin until the 13-month time fib on this chart. That's in the really long-term forecasting cycles from this low. This is a cycle from March of 2019, May of 2019 to March of 2022, roughly a 3-year cycle. I think this could be a lot quicker than 3 years, but ultimately wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, that minimum target is 12.94 for bread, going up, bread prices doubling, and that would just be the wave 3 minimum target. Wave 3 could go as high as 15. I know that sounds outlandish, but over a 2 or 3 year period, wheat, or maybe even quicker than that, wheat could double and triple in value. There'd be a wave 4 correction and a wave 5 higher. So that's wheat. Let's look at natural gas. Some scary stocks out of natural gas. Tellurian keeps me up at night. Let's look at this long-term chart of Tellurian right here. A large wave 1. And then this is a wave 2, wave B correction, in my opinion, that's ending. And if we look at the beginning of wave 1, it's held above 0.20. That's still pretty wide from 0.51, but Tellurian's beta is extremely high. And what I think is happening is that looking at these time fibs, connecting the beginning of wave 1 with the high of wave 1, this big 8-month time fib is coming up right in September. And I'm looking for a large wave 3, wave C impulse to begin, leading up and through and during that time. So this is Tellurian. This is a large natural gas specific name. And it's sending a very similar message that natural gas itself is sending. I believe this is a large wave 1 and ABC wave 2 from this low. And so I'm looking for a wave, that ABC correction to end wave 2, wave B, and for wave 3, wave C to begin. Looking at natural gas itself, this is an ETF that tracks 12-month natural gas futures. Really interesting chart here, really scary chart in my opinion. This, I believe, does equal weight natural gas futures spread across 12 months to mitigate reliance on contango and the decay of rolling contracts. That's why it looks a lot better than UNG. That's one of the worst ETFs I've ever seen. But maybe a period of extreme natural gas contango. That's going to be the ETF. Who knows? Looking at this weekly chart, the subdivision's a lot cleaner. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. I believe this is a large wave 1, wave A. This is the wave 2, wave B. That ended with an ABC correction. And so wave 3, wave C, can begin. Again, very similar to Tellurian, bending but not breaking at this low where wave 1/wave A begins. 7.10, very nice invalidation for wave 3, wave C to begin on natural gas futures spread across 12 months. What's that going to mean for the world? Who knows? Let's look at Devon Energy real quick. Beautiful chart. Oh, man. Beautiful chart for Devon Energy. A scary chart. Sometimes beauty is scary. I'm looking for 40.47 to not get broken. And from this low, very pretty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave 1, wave A, and A, B, C, wave 2, wave B, between the 100 to 127.2% extension of the length of wave A, place of the wave B high, being where wave C ends. And then very pretty from this low, a wave 1 and a wave 2. I expect that large degree wave 2 low of 40.47 won't get broken, and Devon Energy is going to begin wave 3 of wave 3. So I own BCX. That's one way that I play commodities and resources. And I'm looking into ExxonMobil and Zomo, and I also get XOMO, which sells synthetic out-of-the-money covered calls on ExxonMobil. But looking at this, there's also really good ways to get dividends from, these oil and natural gas stocks themselves. So looking at, Devon, it's one reason that I'm glad I own BCX that closed in front from BlackRock. It was trading at a very large discount to NAV when I bought it. I believe it still is almost 11% or 10% at a discount to NAV, net asset value. So that's a commodities resources closed in fund. And a similar theme that Devon, I believe, is not just going to stop at 79. Ultimately, as bizarre as it sounds, Devon can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, wave A. This could be wave 2, wave B ending, and wave 3, wave C could replicate that all the way up to 115. So that's Devon Energy. Let's look at POWW. I own the 2.5 leap for January of 2025. I believe this is a 1, 2, wave 3, shallow wave 4, and a wave 5 that was a large wave 1. Beautiful RSI subdivision, 1, 2, wave 3, highest high on the RSI, shallow wave 4, wave 5 ends with Momo, an A, B, C correction, and then from this low, a wave 1 and a wave 2. I also believe going down, getting a little more cute with this subdivision, that this is a wave 1 and a wave 2 from this low. So I'm going to keep holding this 2.5 leap. I think this is playing out for POWW firearm stock. 2.34 I like. That's a nice level, but I'm going to keep holding it. I'll call that tight because of the high beta. Yeah, so that's POWW. Pretty chart, clear count in my opinion. So I'm going to keep holding that 2.5 leap. SWBI, I think it gives supporting evidence. I've talked about Ruger a lot. Called this one very well. 1, 2, wave 3. Oops. 1, 2, wave 3. Wave 4 possibly ending from this low. I think it's a clear count playing out. The subdivision can be, wave theorists can look at the subdivision and try to perfectly game these cycles all day, but I think that the bigger count is very clear. This was 1, 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5, and an A, B, C correction. Then from this low, as I predicted, a wave 1, wave 2, and another wave 1, and another wave 2. I think we exploded out of that into wave 3 of wave 3. We ended a shallow wave 4. I'm looking for a wave 5 higher. But ultimately, I'm looking for SWBI to go all the way above this all-time high. So let's get to Bitcoin. Let's talk about some unusual options volume on Bitcoin and BITO, specifically 2,659,000 calls to 31,000 puts, 99% call bias on this trade. And what was that? 1,200% unusual options volume, 1,255% unusual options volume. So we're talking about a massive amount of money that was spent, an unusually massive amount of money that was spent, even for this liquid ETF. Some front months, some second weeks, but no surprise. The biggest bets were for this June quad witchings. Look at all this money for the June quad witching. These are hundreds of millions of dollars, at least $100 million being spent on just these June in the money expirations. I believe they just want these to be exercised, and it's giving a nice, little bit of a timing signal for what could be coming from Bitcoin, and why, as that June expiration date approaches and more of those calls get exercised, it's going to be very interesting what happens to BTC USD. There's really two wave counts right now. I think they both lead higher, to be honest. I own BITO deep in the money. That still pays me dividends. I own YBTC, and I own CONY deep in the money, selling and collecting huge dividends from Coinbase. I've talked about how, with regards to me, really slaughtering crypto. I've really destroyed Bitcoin. This is way more evidence than any statistician or data analyst or anyone doing predictive analytics could ever give, that they are, in fact, using data science and physics to predict the future. Just simply too many examples, exact perfect targets, time and time again. Looking at these, even just recently, a perfect call on NVIDIA and MicroStrategy, a perfect call on First Solar and Coinbase, not the first one for either of those. And, so I've really hit Bitcoin out of the park. I had the January 4th post that was perfect based on options activity. This post was perfect. I also talked about Coinbase and CONY that same week. That was perfect. So looking at Bitcoin, I think this could be a wave 1 and a wave 2. This is a large wave 3 in progress. It's subdivided into 1, 2, 3, ABC 4, 5 waves. And those wave 5 targets take Bitcoin up to 80,000, and they take Bitcoin up to 91,122, respectively, for Bitcoin. So that invalidation of 56,126, it's a little tight from the current price. And then from the cycle, the expectation is going to be that some type of wave 1 has formed, that wave 2 end here, or is it going to be A, B, C, wave 2 ends here? That's completely arbitrary in my opinion. That's not the type of super short-term daily analysis I do. But I do think that this is a wave 1, whether wave 2 ended here or whether wave 2 ends here, just like whether gold goes down to the 38.2% retracement for wave 4 or whether gold and silver end at the 23.6%. I'm not going to get that ticky-tacky and technical trying to game the bottom. I've already bought Bitcoin and BITO and Coinbase and CONY and MSTY, and I'm holding them both, all of those pretty deep in the money. So I'm going to keep holding them. I do suspect, though, whether gold, Bitcoin, or silver have a teeny bit more downside, they're going to take the next leg higher. They're going to take the next thrust higher and potentially not look back for a long time. All of them could potentially have a thrust higher that ends a large wave 3, but then there's just a shallow wave 4 correction before a wave 5 higher. So that's Bitcoin. I want to talk about BITO, though, just a little differently because it sends a slightly different message than Bitcoin. The ETF itself, it just has an uncannily accurate count, and I've called it perfectly. So I wanted to just keep up the count with this ETF. It's very interesting. So here's my first perfect prediction. The length of wave 1, or all the way down here, January 4th was right there. But this was a wave 1 and a wave 2. I said this was another wave 1 and an ABC wave 2. So the length of wave 1 placed at the wave 2 low was where I was expecting wave 3 of wave 3 to end, as I posted about for free on September 14th with Coinbase and CONY perfectly. Looking at Bitcoin and BITO itself, we can see that not only Does it have a perfect subdivision in its previous wave counts, which is why I was able to predict it. Now the count looks pretty clear too, and it's kind of hard to refute. Why is this not a wave 1 and a wave 2 and a wave 3, a wave 4, and a wave 5? Well, when we look at Bitcoin and BITO, this is the highest reading on the RSI within the entire cycle. The other way to subdivide this would be that this is wave 3, and this is wave 4. So that's what I have written down right here for Bitcoin, that a large wave 3 ends, a wave 4 ends, and then a wave 5 higher goes. When we look at Bitcoin, this ABC correction within the cycle looks very clearly like a wave 4. It has this 38.2% retracement to 50% fib, but it does end at the 50% retracement. It does leave open the fact that one day Bitcoin could break 85.46 on the weekly RSI and evolve into nets. Now, that looks way too bullish for Bitcoin right now. Marathon Patent Group and what I've talked about with MicroStrategy and Coinbase, they also have more of a wave 3 look to them. Not Coinbase having a wave 3, but some of these Bitcoin mining stocks, they really haven't taken off much. Wave 1, wave A, subdivided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, an ABC correction at the 61.8% fib. This very clearly looks like a wave 1 and a wave A, a wave 2 and a wave B, and a wave 3 of a wave C, as opposed to Bitcoin's wave 1 and wave 2.